Hi, I'm Gina, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make pearl wire for Ganutell flowers. The pearl wire is the wire that is coiled around so that you can hold all of the threads in place. So I'll show you how to make the wire itself and then how to prepare it ready to make a petal. So let's get started. Pearl wire is essentially just a coil of wire. For Ganutell, this coil does tend to be very fine. It's called pearl because of its resemblance when stitched down in sections to little beads. And a fun fact, in the medieval period, most little tiny beads were just referred to as pearls, regardless of whether they were actually what we call pearls now. The wire is, in other languages, it's called cannotilla or Ganutell, and that's where we get the name of the flower technique. It's ever so easy to make. I'm going to use our tornado set. This set has got 3 different sizes of gauge. I'm going to use the middle one just so that it shows up better on camera. But if you have had any of our kits, you will receive a rolling rod, so a piece of brass. If you bend the piece of brass to create a little handle, you can pretty much use it in exactly the same way as I am going to now, because there's no point you buying a kit and not having the materials to do what you need with it. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is take your length of wire, wrap it around the upright so that the wire comes over the front of the long rod. Support the rod. Now, bear in mind, you could do it the other way around if you're left-handed. It doesn't matter. So just support the wire and with your other hand, rotate. Try to keep the wire as close together as you can without overlapping as you are winding. Now, this hand and this thumb is not pulling, it's not putting any tension on the wire. It's just guiding it, okay? If you pull, you may find that you have difficulty removing your wire from the rod, particularly if you are using a thread-covered wire. They stick on rods if you've done them too tight. There's just, too much friction there. So, when you're winding as well, as I say, try to get it as close together as possible. But if you have little gaps, push them together. And that's because although we are going to stretch this back out in order to use it for Ganutell flowers, if you start out with something made as close together as possible, when you stretch it out, your gaps are going to be more even, and that will help to give a nice finished look to your flower. And as you can see, using the tool, we can actually go quite quickly, winding away. And of course, these tools can be used for other wire winding projects. The biggest thing is that we have the 0.8, which is the same size as our brass rods that we give. And this is important because if you want to do little realistic flowers and Ganutell flowers, you need to use fine wires and a fine core. Okay, so then we take this off and we carefully slide the coil off the end of the tool. So that's nice and straightforward. And that is your pearl. So you can go the length of your tool if you wish to, or you can just do short bits, whatever's, best for you. In my instructions, in any of our kits or anything that I might give instructions for, if I refer to pearl wire, a length of pearl wire needed for a petal, it's always the stretched length, okay? So, stretching. Carefully take the wire between your fingers. I like to stick my thumbnail in the first one, but if you haven't got a nail, you can always stretch that out a little bit to pull. And you just gently spread those wires out as evenly as you possibly can. Do not stretch them out too far. It takes some getting used to, but basically what you're looking to do is make it as proportional to the thread that you're going to be using, okay? So most Ganutell, you will use either a silk or a fine rayon thread or embroidery cotton, but separated. So embroidery floss separated also works well. You can use anything that you want, any textile that you want, but your coils, the size of the dimension of the coil and how far you spread needs to be relative. So basically these coils will capture the thread. So if I just show you, the thread will rest inside. So that's why you don't want it to be too big. You'll end up with gappy petals. And then the last step for preparation is to take another piece of plain wire. It should be smaller than the dimension of your hole in your coil, but it should still be a decent enough strength to hold the petal, give some stability to it. And you thread the wire through. And of course, the reason that you don't want it to be too big a wire is because you still want the thread that you're going to use to be able to sit inside. And obviously, if it's filled up with a piece of wire, that won't happen. And that basically is your preparation for a petal. Fold it round, and there's your basic petal. Check out my other videos. I'm going to show you how to make a shaped petal using our petal and leaf jig and how to actually do a basic spiral wrap. Thanks ever so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.